É um Umbreon com pouquíssima vida, mas assim, cheio de energia. E ele dá
O último reforço.
garante a vitória 3-0 pro Hardest, fazendo uma sequência
Que calma.
And take out Man Buzz at the end. A convincing 2-0 sweep. We've been seeing sweep after sweep in these winners. And Hardjeff goes ahead once again, stays undefeated, at least on stream.
Finishing off the match of Hardjeff 2-0 in this first round of the winners bracket.
Hardjeff continues his win streak.
Semifinals, he is going to punch his ticket to Championship Sunday. Charge above Metachamp, he's doing whatever it takes to get to Championship Sunday. Hardjeff is on fire here in Sao Paulo. I'm going to take out your lantern and I'm going to punch my ticket to the grand finals.
Hardjeff takes a 3-1 victory to ascend to the grand final stage here in Sao Paulo. Even he can't believe it.
Wow. The ice punch, you can see Trixton shaking his head. Hardjeff, a smile on his face. He can't believe it. Game number 5 goes to Hardjeff, and he is our 2024 one counter. That's it. 2024 Latin America International Champion.
Champion, not once, but twice. Now you're an international champion, one of the only trainers in the world to do it. What are you going to say to all of the trainers, the GB Lindos, and all your friends at home who are watching you battle? What advice would you give them, and how can they become champions too?
I have one, and that's for people that are watching at home and are here. Like last year at the LAIC, I was the 4th place, and I watched someone be crowned here. And at that day, I said, next year will be me. And for you that are at home or you're here, next year could be you here, can be you here. So let's battle together. Come here.
What's up, guys? This is Rise, and I hope you enjoyed the little montage introduction to this video. Right now, the most dominant player in PvP has to be LNDS Hardjeff, a player from Brazil. Just a little while ago, he won the LAIC Championship, the Latin American International Championship, and before that, he became the first player this season to ever go undefeated through a regional. People have, of course, gone undefeated in matches, but he went undefeated in every single game. 8 matches, 6 of them 2-0, so that would be 12-0. And then in 2 best of 5s, 3-0, 3-0 for an 18-0 perfect run, which I don't think will be done for a long time. If it is done again this season, that'd be pretty wild, but that is so incredibly difficult to do. LNDS Hardjeff, we are going to go through his championship battles, and I hope you guys enjoy. So all that said, if you like this content, feel free to hit that subscribe button, comment down below. All comments will be appreciated. And here is the breakdown. I'll move my little face cam wherever is best, but Hardjeff at this point in the tournament, you see some of the previous accomplishments. Curitiba Regional Champion of this year. It says 2024. If you're wondering why that is, it's because it's like the 2023-2024 season. So even though the year is still 2023, it's counted as like the 2024 season. If any of you guys are like NBA fans, it's kind of the same thing, right? Like part of the year, part of the season takes place in 2023, but it's considered like the 2023-2024 season. Didn't even go over his other accomplishments there. LAIC top 4 of last year, Sao Paulo regional top 8 last year, and Porto Alegre regional champion. Hardjeff is one of, let's see at this point. At this point, there's several. I will take one moment to toot my own horn that I was the first person to win 2 regional championships. But after me, since I did it, Zardy did it, Wadaj did it, Axon didn't necessarily do it, but he did something even cooler of the Triple Crown, which was regional, international, world. So that's like way cooler than winning 2 or even 3 regionals. And then, of course, Elite did it this past season, and then Hardjeff did it. So now you've got like 6, 7 people that have won multiple regionals or multiple Play Pokemon tournaments. And Hardjeff is fresh off his undefeated 18-0 parenthesis 8-0 in match play run. And let's skip ahead a little bit so you guys can see his team as the two players are getting set to go. And we'll just pause it a little bit here. I know there's a few of you that don't like the pauses. You just want to see the battles. But let's just take a brief moment to look at Harjeff and Basti's team. So Harjeff is running a fairly meta team, but there's one unique Pokemon in there, and that is the Charjabug. You don't see Charjabug too often in these tournaments, but it's kind of an off-meta type pick, and he's running double electric. So he's running Charjabug and Lantern on the same team, which is pretty unique. And I've seen people in their local tournaments like tagging Harjeff, saying they've been running a team inspired by him and winning their locals. So he was up to something. And along with Licky and Umbreon is also interesting to me because I feel like Licky and Umbreon play a lot of the same roles to bulky Pokemon that are usually pretty good in neutral matchups that can soft lose to Medicham, hopefully. So having them both on the same team is interesting to me. I've actually done coaching sessions where I've been like, yeah, I'm not a fan of Licky and Umbreon on the same team because I feel like they are very similar in how they play in a sense. But he's got them both. He's got double electric, Medicham and Gligar. His opponent, Basti, Superior, Lantern, Gligar, Medicham, Frostlass, and Umbreon. This is the most common team you're going to see if you guys decide to compete and play Pokemon Regionals right now. This is the team that J-Jan won a regional with, that Elite won a regional with, that was originally created by Wadaj, who's arguably the best player in the world. I think probably top 3 consensus at the moment with Axon and Harjeff. And yeah, I think that just about does it. How good does this Charjabug look against Basti's team? Pretty dang good. If it avoids the Gligar, it has play against everything else. Frostlass, not the best with Discharge and X-Scissor. Kind of need Crunch to win that matchup. But the Charjabug, man, it beats Superior. It beats a Spark Lantern. It beats Medicham, especially if they're not running Psychic. And it beats Umbreon. So it like has pretty strong matchups against 4, which makes Basti kind of in a vulnerable spot. He really has to bring the Gligar, in my opinion, to deal with it. And then Harjeff is just running probably his safest line of 3. Charjabug, Licky, Umbreon. Yeah, just seems like his safest line of 3. So maybe we'll see any patterns in Harjeff's playstyle. But all that said, let's do this thing. It was a positive lead for Harjeff, the Charjabug into the Superior. Some people that are watching this video have probably skipped ahead to my little intro to see when the battles actually start. Maybe I'll do timestamps in case that was too long for some of you. But some of you, I think, appreciate the analysis. And you're going to see Basti pivot into Lantern, which is not necessarily a good matchup for Lantern. And in doing so, he actually lures out the Lickitung, which is going to be solid here because he keeps the Gligar around to potentially deal with that Charjabug later in this game. Thunderbolt connects onto the Lickitung. It's now in Power Whip range, the Lantern, so I would presume... Oh no, Harjeff actually willing to build up extra energy? Wants energy to threaten whatever comes in, I guess? Maybe lure Basti into throwing the Surf since he knows it's not really super threatening to knock out. Gonna go for the Power Whip here. This would knock out the Lantern if it connects. Basti knows how much energy that Licky has. He's like, okay, I'm just gonna let it go. Power Whip KOs. Superior's gonna come back in. Superior's gonna be able to tank this energy probably a little bit better than Gligar would. They're both relatively bulky though. They probably have similar bulk, to be honest. Body Slam chips away at the Superior. Another Body Slam coming through. All that energy that was farmed up, proving to be useful. Superior will get a nice little Vine Whip down, though. And this Superior is running Leaf Tornado, so it is not running... Aerial Ace. A nice catch on the X's are anticipating that Harjeff was going to throw instantly, so a nice call there. This will create a little bit of a desync in the switch timer as the Umbreon comes in to greet the Gligar. And honestly, even though the catch is tough for Harjeff, it's not the worst thing in the world because it puts this Gligar into probably double foul play range. Harjeff does overfarm quite a bit there. This is actually a little bit awkward for Harjeff because if he does another Snarl, then he's over 100 energy. But not that much over 100, so not the biggest deal in the world. Throws after 1. At what point is Basti going to have to commit his shields? Foul play connects. Gligar is approaching foul play range. Going for the Aerial Ace bait here. Does Harjeff commit a shield finally? No, doesn't commit a shield. It's just an Aerial Ace. Still no shields have been used in this game, and I think you have to shield now if you're Basti. There is the first Protect Shield being used. Gligar is purified, but these are open team sheet battles now once again. This was the first Play Pokemon tournament with open team sheets, so you do know your opponent's movesets. So Harjeff does not have to worry about return. He knows the moveset. Foul play coming through. Going for another Aerial Ace bait. Will he finally pull a shield from Harjeff? No, he won't. Oh my goodness. Going to live the Aerial Ace. This is insane. And Umbreon gonna... No, doesn't hang on. Doesn't get there. And now... Can Charjabug prevail here? Doesn't have a move quite yet. I think you gotta shield Harjeff. No, you don't. What on earth, dude? What am I witnessing? He's gonna get off the X-Scissor, and he's only 2 away from the next, and I don't think 4 Vine Whip is enough to KO. So I think this game is over. And Harjeff, I don't know if that was flexing or if he just thought that was the play, but to be honest, that might have been the only win con. That's kind of insane because I forgot how much energy the dang Serperior had. It had 2 moves loaded. So he was thinking like he needed to call the Aerial Ace. And then you have to wonder if Basti had just gone for Dig to guarantee the shield or the knockout, if that was the play, because then Serperior could have gotten off both moves. So what a crazy game there. And one thing... and again, this doesn't apply to everybody, right? Everybody has their own play styles. But one thing I see with more novice players, especially like you might notice it yourselves when you're first doing the new Go Battle League season, is more novice players shield everything. And Harjeff, you just saw in that first game, shielded nothing. Shielded nothing, dude. Saving his shields for the endgame scenario when you absolutely need them. And, wow. Absolutely unreal. Basti, that's got to get in your head a little bit because it did seem like he was in a favorable position, and Harjeff called like 3 Aerial Ace baits in that endgame. So that's definitely going to be a little bit of a mental block. But let's see if Basti can try to take a game back here. It's going to be Lantern into Medicham. Very common matchup. I'm sure you guys see all the time. And we're going to watch these in real time as opposed to sped up. Just because we've only got so many battles, and these are pretty epic battles. So we're going to see a Psychic shielded up by the Lantern. And I mean, I guess ignore what I said last game. It all depends on the scenario, right? Last game we saw Harjeff save his shields to the very end, didn't even end up using them. This time he shields the very first charge move that's thrown, but he recognizes that switch advantage could be important here. And he's going to go for the Thunderbolt. Running Water Gun as well, which kind of makes sense, right? If you're running Charjabug double electric, you probably would rather have Water Gun on Lantern. Otherwise, Spark Lantern, maybe a little bit too similar in coverage with your Charjabug. Willing to go down 2 shields and going to go for a full Water Gun down. Has a ton of energy here. Has a ton of energy. I wonder if we see a pivot. Yeah, going to pivot into Gligar. Really hoping... He's probably really hoping he lures out the opponent's Gligar. That'd be amazing for him. But it looks like Basti's content staying in here. And honestly, if Basti just protects his own Gligar with shields that he still has, I think it's going to be tough for Harjeff to win this game. But keep in mind, he does have 2 Surfs banked on his Lantern. So those Surfs are going to be massive once the Gligar is revealed. However, it's going to be tough for Gligar to get rid of this Umbreon on Harjeff's side. Another Dig coming through, and no shield's going to come up for Basti. We're going to see players try to time their moves correctly. Another Dig coming through. This will not threaten to knock out. So Basti really trying to put it all on his Gligar and back. Wants to save both shields. And just willing to throw this right away to put the pressure on Hardjeff. So willing to sacrifice the timing in exchange for making sure you get it off there and don't allow a catch or something. Hardjeff going to come in with the Charge-a-Bug, and you can see the look on his face. He does not like that there's a Gligar here. And one unfortunate thing with a 4-turn fast move user like Charge-a-Bug is you can't swap that quickly. So that Gligar got a nice little head start. Is going to draw both shields here, but this is basically Aerial Ace range for Gligar. So as long as you get rid of this Lantern, and Basti's not messing around, he just wants to get this off his screen. He knows that Gligar is going to be able to knock out the Charge-a-Bug quite easily. Charge-a-Bug's going to need at least 3 moves here, at least 3 moves to knock out, plus the Volt Switch damage, and you're only going to need like 2 digs, or maybe even dig plus Aerial Ace if you're Basti. And it looks like Hardjeff knows this matchup, knows that he's not going to be able to flip it, even with this energy lead. So it looks like he's kind of just accepting defeat here in this game, writing down some notes. And we'll decide to throw the X's or here just to play it out. I believe he still has... Oh, no, it's Basti that still has the Umbreon. So, yeah, Dig will be enough to knock out the Charge-a-Bug here. Basti able to come back after a tough game 1 and tie up the series 1-1 here. This is the winners finals, by the way. So winner of this goes to the grand finals. And that is huge because if you win on the winner's side, whoever comes up from the loser's side has to beat you twice in order to become champion. Let's fast forward here a little bit. Hardjeff versus Basti. Hardjeff representing Brazil. I believe Basti is from Chile. Next battle. Well, we got in the lead. Medi into Umbreon. A favorable lead, of course, for Hardjeff. Going to see the immediate pivot into Lantern. Doesn't have an obvious answer to Lantern. So this is a situation I'm sure a lot of you guys deal with when your opponent swaps in something and you don't have an obvious answer. Let's see how Hardjeff decides to proceed with this. Surf connects on his Medi. Going to go for the Psychic straight away. Will Basti elect to use a Protect Shield here? He will. Correctly shields the Psychic. And now going to come in with Umbreon. This is a large desync in the switch clock, but Hardjeff feels like with the chip damage that he has accumulated with those counters, he's going to be able to maintain his alignment and keep his Medicham on that opposing Umbreon. Thunderbolt coming through. Going to need at least 2 foul plays to knock out here. We can kind of see by how much this first foul play does if the next one will knock out the bulky Lantern. Basti going to take the foul play. Connects on the Lantern. Looks like the next foul play plus a few snarls should be enough. But look at this. Hardjeff going for the last resort. He doesn't... It seems like he's not confident in this play because he feels like it probably still won't knock out. So maybe he would have been better off going for foul play. But we actually see the pivot into Basti's own Umbreon. And now Basti is probably hoping that Hardjeff throws energy. Because now Basti wants to hold on to his energy so he can threaten the Medicham that's probably going to come in. Oh, actually, no. Basti elects to throw the last resort here. I would have preferred to see Basti maybe build up a little bit more to max energy because now you don't have a move yet for the Medicham, but Medicham's been chipped quite a bit from that Surf earlier. So this isn't quite foul play range, but it's going to chip Medi into the red. And this Medi is not running Dynamic Punch, of course, so not really threatened by this Ice Punch coming through. Basti can throw after 1 Snarl, or he could overfarm more if he wants to. He's going to overfarm more. Do we see a shield come up from Hardjeff? No, going to let the Medi go down. Still has a move banked on the Lantern as well for Basti. Full health Lantern plus a low health Umbreon in the back for Hardjeff. There is a Gligar back there as well. Not the best matchup for... Oh, I take it back. It's a Water Gun Lantern. I forgot about that. Forgot it was the Water Gun Lantern. That's actually a really positive matchup against the Gligar. Foul play coming through will chip. And, Would have maybe liked to see Basti immediate swap in there because that water gun down is kind of brutal for him. That water gun down is kind of brutal. I think maybe the aggressive swap into Gligar was the better play because down a shield against this Surf Lantern, water gun Surf Lantern, they're always running Surf, right? So water gun Lantern. Harjev is already almost at back-to-back Surf. He is at back-to-back Surf. We're going to see a bait come through from the Gligar. Harjev is well aware it could be a bait, but he feels like the only lose condition would probably be letting a dig go through unshielded. So he's just going to safely shield up. Another Surf coming through. Very hard to catch moves against a one-turn fast move user. And the Surf will connect, putting Gligar extremely low. Is not going to reach the dig. And this Lantern, proving to be too strong, actually goes for the catch for style points. A little shrug to the camera. Like, why not? Why not catch it? It does knock out the Umbreon, but a few water guns does the trick, and that is a 2-1 advantage for LNDS Harjev. For my fellow Americans watching this video that may not be aware, the R is like an H sound in Brazilian Portuguese. I learned that actually through MMA and mixed martial arts because you got guys like Royce Gracie. Looks like Royce, pronounced Royce. And okay, tough predicament here for Harjev to start things off. He led his Medi into the Gligar, immediately swapped Umbreon, and is met by an opposing Medicham. But once again, they always say this on the broadcast. It's like the most common thing we say when these situations happen. But Medicham is not running Dynamic Punch. Umbreon can make this uncomfortable for Medicham. Definitely depends on the IVs of Medicham and Umbreon as well, because some Medicham are going to get a breakpoint with the counter damage against Umbreon. Some are not. And it looks like Basti's probably running a more attack-weighted Medicham. The Itzaxin or Medislayer, some people call it, because it looks like triple foul play will just about knock out here. Gonna actually overfarm Harjev to throw on proper timing. Last Resort, I think, would definitely knock out from here. So let's see if he goes for that. Yeah, he does. He knows this will knock out. And Basti doesn't want to give up switch. But here's the thing. Now suddenly you're down a shield. And against this backline, that could be problematic. We'll be able to get off a Psychic here against the opposing Medi. We'll be able to get off a Psychic here. So this is going to do some really nice damage for Basti. But it looks like Harjev might be willing to take all this damage and just counter down and have the Ice Punch ready to go. Doesn't quite get to the Psychic, and that is huge for Harjev. Just going to take another move. We'll have an Ice Punch ready to go for the Gligar. Is there any chance we see Basti come in with Lantern instead? No. Going to come in with Gligar. One wing attack goes through. Ice Punch. Gonna go unshielded, knowing it doesn't quite knock out. In comes the Lickitung. And this is kind of awkward, man, for Basti. And you see the reaction from Harjev. He knows this wasn't enough for the dig. So he's going to let this go through. Would have maybe liked to see Basti at least build up to the dig there before throwing Aerial Ace. Give yourself a better chance for the shield. And up a shield. This is looking pretty solid for Harjev, going for the Power Whip. It does get shielded, so a nice shield call there from Basti, keeping himself in the game. As these sparks slowly add up, this will approach Thunderbolt range. Oh my gosh, Harjev gonna call the Surf in the head of Basti. Not wanting to use any shields unless he absolutely has to. And that no shield is huge, man, because he still has 2 shields to hide behind. So now you question if you're Basti, like, do I even bother throwing charge moves at this point? Or am I better off just committing to fast moves? I think you still got to throw your charge moves here because Gligar is like 4 away from an Aerial Ace. So is Harjev going to start shielding? He is. Does he have the Body Slam yet? Where was his energy? Has the Body Slam, but loses the charge move priority. Loses the charge move priority. So he kind of needs to get this off. Gonna shield up. And I did see this play, actually. Shiny Lickitung is going to undercharge the Body Slam to guarantee that he can get a 0-turn swap here and outpaced the Gligar to the Ice Punch. Super high level. And Hard Jeff is saying it's over, man. It is over. Knocks out the Gligar. And one more counter is going to knock out the Lantern. And that is going to send Hard Jeff to the grand finals on the winner's side. This man has not lost a match in like 16 plus matches at this point. The crowd's going crazy. And you got to love the energy in Brazil, man. In front of his own fans. They love it. They're super animated. When I compete at these events, I tend to be pretty reserved. It's just my personality, but watching how excited and how passionate they get, it kind of makes me want to get in the moment a little bit more, maybe show a little bit more passion, a little bit more energy on stage. And now in the grand finals, LNDS Trixin defeated Basti in the losers finals, so he is now the challenger to Hard Jeff. Hard Jeff will have to beat Trixin only once in a best of 5 to become grand champion. Trixin would have to beat Hard Jeff in a best of 5 and then beat him again in order to become grand champion, since Trixin has already lost once in this tournament. We take a look at the teams. I just had it there. I should have just stayed. And Trixin is running Carbink, which is a little bit awkward for Hard Jeff, right? Because it hard beats Umbreon. It hard beats Charjabug. And then it's more neutral against Licky and Medi. And I would say it has a negative matchup against Gligar and Lantern. Actually, Carbink is so busted, it can actually... Oh, but it's Water Gun Lantern. If it was Spark Lantern, would be more neutral. But Water Gun Lantern should beat Carbink, I would think, pretty comfortably. Alolan Sandslash will depend on Powder Snow versus Shadow Claw. Powder Snow would be really devastating for Gligar, would be more neutral against Umbreon. If it's Shadow Claw, it's going to struggle against Licky. It's going to struggle against Umbreon. And then Swampert looks pretty dang good for Trixin. Swampert is virtually unchecked. The best answers would be like neutral answers like Medicham and Lickitung. And yeah, other than that, we got pretty standard stuff. How does the Charjabug look? Charjabug doesn't look great against Trixin's team, if I'm being honest. Carbink, Gligar, not great against those. Swampert as well. So we may see less Charjabug action in this grand final set. Unless Trixin decides to disrespect the Charjabug, in which case maybe it'll make an appearance. But here we go. Game number 1, Umbreon into Swampert. And willing to lead the Umbreon against a Carbink team. It's always kind of tricky to bring Carbink, right? Because it's more of an RPS type Pokemon. It's more of an RPS type Pokemon. It's not the safest thing. You also want to give yourself a chance if you lose lead. You don't want to run a more risky team. I definitely try to toe the line there, where I try to run safe lines, but at the same time, sometimes you have to take risks. And if you run a line that's too safe, your opponent might have things that are also unchecked. So a lot of things to think about in these high-level matches. We're going to see Hard Jeff elect to throw Last Resort immediately to make sure he gets it off before another Hydro Cannon. Last Resort connects, doesn't quite knock out the Swampert. Swampert's going to go for another Hydro here. Is Hard Jeff willing to commit a shield? He's thinking about it. No, he's not. Excuse me. Actually lives, which is actually bad for him because it gives Swampert another Hydro, but can probably get the farm down before another Hydro, and he does. That is huge. And there is no obvious answer for this Gligar, so it's basically Gligar against Gligar, but we saw Hard Jeff got a 2 wing attack head start in this mirror match. Still allows Trixin to throw first. And let's see how this plays out, because sometimes even if you're ahead, it may not always be in your favor if you've taken a little bit of chip damage, but the only chip damage was 2 mud shots. That's literally 2 damage. Aerial Ace connects. Gonna see Hard Jeff throw another Aerial Ace. And one thing worth noting is with these open team sheets, I'm sure it's not always clear cut, but you can see the HP of your opponent's Pokemon, and HP could be an indicator of whether you're going to win CMP. For example, if they have a higher HP than you, could be a scenario where you think you're going to win CMP. Makes the Aerial Ace catch on the Water Gun Lantern. That is a huge turn of events. Not having to deal with that on your Gligar. He has energy stored on his Gligar. Trixin going to be forced to swap in Medi here. And I could be wrong, but I believe Water Gun Lantern just straight up wins this matchup in the twos. And it has a little bit of a head start, but it also took a little bit of chip damage from the Aerial Ace. So we're going to see the bait come up from Medicham. The Water Gun slowly adding over time, going for the Surf here. Surf's up, dude. Draws a shield from the Medicham. Trixin going to go for the Psychic this time. The shield does come up from Harjef. The shield does come up. Correctly shields the Psychic, but now gonna go for the Surf. Yeah, gonna go for the Surf. Wants to either get that last shield or do some damage here. Grabs the last shield. This isn't quite Surf range, but it is approaching Aerial Ace range. Combos with the Aerial Ace he has banked. This isn't quite gonna KO though. This isn't quite gonna KO, so this game is not over. Aerial Ace comes through, leaves the Medi low. We're gonna see the Gligar swap in, and I think that is going to do it because the Medicham does not have enough health to counter down. The Medicham would have to expend its energy to knock out Harjef's Gligar, and now it is going to go down. I think there was a little bit of lag there, but it would have just been a simul KO if the game functioned properly, so it didn't change the outcome, and that is a 1-0 lead for Harjef. Oh my goodness. By the way, I don't think I mentioned, you see the LNDS behind their names. For those of you unfamiliar, that's a Brazilian PvP group, community, GB Lindos. I don't know a ton of information on them, but to the best of my knowledge, they're kind of a group of PvPers in Brazil who work together, scrim together, strategize together, play together for certain teams like Magnus PvP and others. So kind of part of the same sort of group, the same sort of team are these two, and they definitely know each other, have a lot of respect for one another. And here is game number 2, Medi into Superior. I consider this matchup slightly advantageous for the Superior because you can get to Frenzy plus Aerial Ace before Medi gets to double Ice Punch. And Frenzy plus Aerial Ace is enough to knock out. I think for some Medichams, double Aerial Ace might even be enough, plus the Vine Whip damage. But you see Trixin going for the Frenzy here. We're not going to see a shield come up from Harjef. Frenzy puts Medi quite low. And once again, Frenzy Plant is such a strong move. It actually does more damage than Aerial Ace, despite Aerial Ace being super effective. Shield does come up on the Aerial Ace. Harjef feels like he needs to do more damage to this Superior. And Medicham is approaching that third Ice Punch. So Trixin, gonna let this go. Does he still get off his move? He does, and a beautiful catch onto the Lickitung for Harjef. Beautiful catch. Lickitung gonna absorb this really well. Would have much preferred to get off a Frenzy Plant if you're Trixin. Makes probably the correct read here going into Gligar, because Swampert is going to much prefer to see the Gligar of Harjef as opposed to this Lickitung. Dig coming through. You're going to see Gligar does pretty solid in this matchup against Lickitung. You might think Lickitung is just a much more solid neutral type Pokemon, but with Wing Attack, Dig, and the bulk of Gligar, it's going to be able to tank 2 Body Slams, I believe, and get off another Dig. Actually, we're going to see the bait here, or Trixin. He did not get his move off first, but he was going to go for the Aerial Ace bait. I don't know if I agree with that play because I don't think it's going to be enough to knock out. Maybe it is after these Wing Attack. It's going to be awfully close. This might be enough to knock out. I think he might need one more Wing Attack after. Aerial Ace doesn't knock out, actually saves the Lickitung and gets off another Aerial Ace. That Lickitung is at 1 HP, but it will be able to be used for a catch opportunity in the end game. And that chip damage was enough. That actually was a huge aerial ace that landed on the Gligar because that puts it into Hydro Cannon range. If he doesn't get off that aerial ace, one Hydro is not enough to knock out the Gligar, but now a Hydro should be enough to knock out. Will we see the final shield come up from Trixen? He's thinking about it and lets it go. Calls the aerial ace. Gonna outpace here. Actually decides to not throw immediately. Instead, will likely shield and farm up to 2. The awkward thing here is you know that Hardjeff has the catch opportunity. So that's a little bit scary here. Hydro Cannon should be enough to knock out Gligar from this range. It's super effective damage. Boom, knocks it out. You know that Hardjeff has the catch opportunity. This is so awkward, man. This is so scary. Oh, okay. That was a little bit weird. It looked like Trixen was actually trying to swap, anticipating the swap from Hardjeff, which I think was really smart. But the game like registered a tap first, and it worked out in the end. But honestly, even if the game allowed Trixen to swap, I think he would have won that still. So that ties things up 1-1 in the grand finals. Here we go, baby. The Brazilian brothers. Not actually brothers, but you know what I mean. Brothers from different mothers, as they say. And here we go. Game number 3. The Carbink finally makes an appearance. The Carbink. It's funny. Caleb Pang, the popular content creator and caster in the community, who does a terrific job. He loves the Carbink. He used to love the Bastiodon. I think he's kind of shifted his love to Carbink a little bit because it's a little bit more versatile than Bastiodon. And one major reason is this Medicham matchup, as you're going to see. Medicham does have to respect the Moonblast against Carbink. Carbink is greeted by Lickitung, and Trixen doesn't have an obvious answer in his lineup for this Lickitung. Do we see Slash come in after the chip damage? No, just going to fully stay in, it appears. Eventually going to come Slash, and a bit of a curious situation because it takes Carbink a while to get to its charge moves, so might have been better off preserving that energy and going in with Slash right away, but instead waited quite some time before coming in Slash, and now Carbink's going to have less energy to deal with that back line. But this still looks okay for Trixen. Going to get off a drill run here and has enough health where he can do at least one more Powder Snow against the Medi. Maybe 2. That might be pushing it. But should get off something here against Medi. Should get off at least an Ice Punch. Yeah, not going to risk whether he lives that counter or not. I think he might, to be honest, but just play it safe. Get off this Ice Punch here. Didn't live the counter, so made the right call. You probably come in with Carbink, I guess. But this is an uncomfortable amount of health on the Medicham, right? I mean, Rock Slide is not going to be enough. Gonna bait the Rock Slide. Oh my goodness. Hardjeff does pull up the shield, so a nice bait from Trixen. And this shield advantage could be really pivotal for him. This could be pivotal for him for the Swampert in the back, but Medi is just gonna outpace so significantly. Gets off another Rock Slide. Hardjeff is cringing, like, do I shield a Rock Slide? But is able to take it, saves the energy, has like 100 energy on his Medicham, a Psychic plus an Ice Punch for later. The Swampert is ahead, and we're going to see Hardjeff go for the Aerial Ace here. Just wants to chip away at this Swampert. Does pull the first Protect Shield. That is huge. We're going to see Trixen throw here. I wouldn't hate to see the back-to-back from Trixen at this point, because Hardjeff is at the dig, and we do indeed see the back-to-back. This puts Hardjeff in a tricky spot. Going to use his shield. This will allow him to get off a dig or an Aerial Ace. And also, if this draws the final shield from the Swampert, you know there is a Psychic waiting for you. From that Medicham, puts up the shield, and it's an Aerial Ace bait. That is brutal. And the Swampert is approaching. Oh my gosh, the Swampert is now for sure going to be in Psychic range. You know that the switch timer's up. Do you anticipate the combo play if you're Trixen? What do you do here? Do you just blind throw immediately? Oh my gosh. Combos. Oh, it doesn't get the swap in time. Harjeff waited for in between the fast move to try and make his swap and is able to get it off, and in just a maniacally close and stressful endgame is able to pull it out there. Let's take a little bit of a look. I wonder if the broadcast did an instant replay there. But look at the patience here from Harjeff. He's going to swap and tap his move. Notice how he made sure not to do a counter in between. I'm going to just slow that down one more time so you guys can definitely see what I'm talking about. But if we go 0.25 speed, notice how he carefully taps the Medi and then taps the Ice Punch. And even if we successfully saw the catch from Trixin, his only play was just to predict when Harjeff was going to swap and throw that Hydro immediately. That is just so difficult to do. And Harjeff, man, able to get it in the end game there and take the 2-1 lead. One game away now from securing the Latin American International Championship. They're taking a look at the instant replay. We're going to skip ahead a little bit. I've been in a similar spot. It's definitely crazy. You know what's funny is, as someone that's competed in the grand finals of an international, watching this, I like get nervous. And I think in the grand finals, I was like less nervous than I've been as like a spectator watching other people. It's kind of weird. So I wonder how they were feeling at this point. We're going to see Sandslash into Umbreon now. Because it's running Powder Snow, of course, not bad for Sandslash. I would still consider this favorable for Umbreon, because as you're going to see, 2 foul plays plus the Snarl damage pretty much knocks out the Sandslash. You see that first foul play has put it below 50%. We see some nice timing on display from Trixin. Can do 1 Powder Snow and then throw his next move. If we see a shield come up from Trixin, it may be a sign that he wants switch advantage. Now, based off the back lines, he actually doesn't really need switch advantage, but it's so hard in the moment, man. And to be fair, if he did get switch advantage, that would be crucial for him, because Superior on Lantern would just be very dominant. We're going to see him throw after 2 here. This will force Harjeff to make a decision. Do you shield up? Yep, he's going to shield up. He's going to try and preserve switch advantage for himself. And going to throw after 3, just super on point with his timing. And now if you're Trixin, you can't really shield because the Umbreon is back-to-back, so you have to let it go. And what are you going to come in with? Going to come in with Swampert. Now, this is a huge call. If Harjeff comes in with the Medicham here, he could be in a lot of trouble. If he comes in with the Medicham here, he could be in a lot of trouble. So he has to really... I mean, the obvious thing is to come in with Medicham. The obvious thing, unless he somehow makes the read. Okay, yeah, he comes in with Medicham. And it looks like he may have lagged a turn here. That's unfortunate. So we're going to see Swampert go for the Earthquake here. Harjeff, you can see the reaction, realizing he got denied. That's unlucky. Earthquake connects. Does some pretty big damage to the Medicham. You see the patience on display, but we see the eventual swap out. Trixin not confident enough that it's Lantern in the back. It's so tough to make those reads, though, when you're on stage, when you're in the moment. You don't know what's in bag. Everyone watching does. So easier for people watching to be sitting and typing, oh, man, why did he do that? Does put up the shield here. And I don't see him getting to the next Ice Punch. And now I don't think Lantern's going to be able to take out this Superior without eating a Frenzy Plant, that's for sure. And Frenzy Plant will not quite knock out, but it'll put this Lantern quite low. And, yeah, going to go for the Aerial Ace now. We may even see a no shield. No, going to shield it up. But Lantern is just way too low here. I think the Swampert had a move banked, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it's like 1 off. But the thing is, Lantern can't farm down. Lantern has to expend energy. And Swampert is one off the Hydro Cannon. That will knock out. And Trixen fighting hard in this best of 5, able to tie this up 2-2. And I mean, I want to say, I think what I saw was Harjeff had a 38-4 run at one point. So in his last 40-plus battles, Trixen has now doubled his loss total. That's kind of insane to think about, with it being 2-2. And this is going to set up a decisive game 5. Here we go. Not quite, I guess. I was a little premature there. Oh, look at the notes. Can we see what he's writing down? I think he's just writing down the lines. That's it. I think he's just writing down the lines. Here we go. Decisive game 5 and a positive lead for Harjeff. Leads the Gligar into the Medicham. And if Trixen is unable to get switch or alignment here, which he is probably not going to be able to do against this Gligar, it's going to be tough for him to overcome, because his Gligar is not going to want to see that Water Gun Lantern, that's for sure. So this alignment looks pretty solid for Harjeff. It's kind of like soft win, soft win, soft win. We see the Swampert safe swap met by the Lickitung. But here's the thing, Swampert up a shield against Lickitung. This is not too bad for Trixen. Could have even considered going for the Earthquake here, because I know Harjeff is not going to go down 2 shields this early in the game. But goes for the Hydro Cannon instead. And now we're going to see Harjeff building up energy. Another Hydro he was going for. Do we see the shields come up? It's so hard to let this go through, knowing it could be a Power Whip potentially. So does put up the shield. Are we going to see him go for EQ? No, he's going to go for Hydro. And that looked like it might have been a charge move priority. Hydro Cannon coming through. Not going to threaten to knock out the Lickitung. Lickitung's going to stick around here. Was Trixen's counting on point? Does he know this is just a body slam? Doesn't really need to shield. Nice counting from Trixen. Can overfarm here to 2 if he likes. And actually going to throw 1 before. So could overfarm 1 more, but that's fine. Better safe than sorry. Hydro Cannon going to knock out the Licky. In comes Water Gun Lantern. And uh-oh. Uh-oh. I didn't know this happened. Shoot. I did not know this happened. We're going to see the Hydro come through. And it looks like Harjeff dealing with some lag there. That's not ideal. Grabs the shield. And now going for the Earthquake here. Oh, this is pretty brutal. I didn't know this happened. But gonna put up both shields. So I don't think Trixen would have been able to do that without the lag. And looks like this may end up being a rematch in this game 5. That's so tough to see on this scale. Yeah, gonna go for the Aerial Ace here eventually. And looks like Harjeff knows that lag impacted the game so significantly that he's just gonna kind of let this go through and dispute. And I would presume that's a pretty obvious rematch for the judges to handle. I did not watch these live, so I actually didn't know that occurred. So that's really sad to see in such a tight, close situation that could go either way. Really brutal to see for the game. So I'm sure the staff is going to work, do everything they can, test things out to make sure things function properly. And just a really, really tough outcome for both sides, because I did think Harjeff was in a favorable position, but of course, if you're Trixen, you're thinking, like, maybe I would have had a chance even without the lag there. So just no parties win. But we're going to have a rematch here. New teams, Lickitung into Superior. Relatively neutral matchup. Superior, I would consider to have a slightly favorable matchup here, because you're going to get to 2 Frenzies, which do knock out after the Vine Whip damage against most Lickitung. I think if you have a super high rank Lickitung, it can live the second Frenzy. But Superior, the Frenzy plant is just a little bit more threatening than the Body Slam. As you're going to see, it's going to do some really nice damage here to the Lickitung if it comes through unshielded. Harjeff going to let the Frenzy plant go through. Frenzy Plant. Once again, coming through. Does Hard Jeff live this? No, he's going to... He may have, but he's going to shield it just to be safe. Now, the awkward thing here is, does this body slam KO? I think it will. I think it will. Or it might put it into one lick range. But we're going to see Trixen not risk it. He's going to put up a shield. He wants to maintain alignment here. Going for the Frenzy Plant. And Hard Jeff is willing to take... to let this Lickitung go down. Even shield's going to come in with Medicham. Unfortunately, it looks like this Serperior is going to get off a move, but it's caught on the Umbreon. And this Aerial Ace not going to do much. And unfortunately for Trixen, he does not have an obvious response to this Umbreon, but he actually has no choice. He has to come in with A-Slash. He has to come in with A-Slash because, of course, the Swampert is his better answer to the Medicham. He can't afford to have A-Slash lined up against Medicham. So I'd expect no Protect Shields from Trixen. He also, unfortunately, threw on tough timing. It's very tough, especially in like swap situations sometimes. And in these high-pressure stake situations, does he live the foul play here? If he lives the foul play, that's massive. But it's a tough call. He's going to put up the shield because he doesn't think he's going to live it. And now his Swampert is going to be shieldless against the Medicham. Does Drill Run knock out here? I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. Umbreon might get off. Umbreon might get off. This foul play, it lives. And it saves the foul play for later. However, we do see the Sandslash get off an Ice Punch worth of chip damage here. This Ice Punch should put Medicham into Hydro Cannon range plus the fast move damage. But here's the thing. No shields remain. And we're going to see Trixen try to go for a catch. No, doesn't go for the catch. And I don't think he can afford to get to double Hydro before Hard Jeff gets to a move. When is Hard Jeff going to throw the move? You have to go for the catch. And we don't see Trixen go for the catch. The mind game, too strong for Hard Jeff. He knows what has just transpired. And he is your Latin American International Champion. Oh my goodness, dude. What a dominant performance. Dating back weeks, months. And Hard Jeff has now joined the likes of Wadaj, it's Axon, as like arguably the most decorated play Pokemon Go players in the world. Just amazing stuff from him. Really dominant performance. You see the crowds into it. They're rooting for their Brazilian friends, their teammates, and for two teammates to put on such a show in the grand finals. Really cool stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Long one. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment down below. All comments are appreciated. Congrats to Hard Jeff. And all that said, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Shout out Brazil. Peace.